Now, we're looking at upper body grips that enable us to control an opponent when we want to lock our chest to our opponent's back. We've looked at the seatbelt, arguably the most important one of them all. We looked at reverse seatbelt, then we looked at body locking our opponent from the back, the rear body lock. Now let's look at another very important grip. This is a tight waist grip. Typically this is done with one arm. All the grips we've looked at so far, our hands were locked. Now we have unlocked hands. This is going to give you a free hand to work with. And this can be a useful thing sometimes when you're grappling on someone's back. So let's have a look at a situation where our training partner's in turtle position. From here, sitting up in a tight waist, we go through with our training partner and we put our hand all the way through as far as it'll go, just like so. You see, it comes right down to the mat. From here, this will give you a free hand to work with, and you can use this free hand to start to threaten, strangle, you can post it on the mat, etc., etc. Now from here, the beauty of the tight waist, because we have that free hand, we can start breaking people down to a hip, taking them out of balance, etc., etc. Okay, it's a very, very useful way of holding people. And you can switch from one hand to another. So if he returns back up to turtle position, then you can always throw the second hand and it becomes a new tight waist on the other side. And then from here, we can break this guy down from side to side. You can always switch to a body lock from a tight waist. You can always switch to a seatbelt from a tight waist. As he goes to return back up to his base, and from here, you've got all these switches and turns that will keep you in a good position to work, because it gives you that free hand to work with. And at any given time, that tight waist can knock your man over. The only drawbacks to a tight waist, if I'm not covering my training partner's hips, and I'm down here, there is a danger your opponent can catch your wrist and pin you by rolling you through. So make sure if we are in these situations, we're doing a good job covering those hips. What do I mean by covering the hips? That's where I take my knee and put it up over my training partner's hip, like so. So the one danger here is that my opponent can catch my wrist and cause problems. But now, because I'm covering the hips when he goes to roll me through, it's going to be very difficult for him to do so. But if my knees are on the floor, down here, it's pretty easy for him to collapse me down into a pin. Now, that tight waist, very, very useful way to operate. Understand it comes in two forms. A classic tight waist where we go as far around our training partner as possible, and a shallow tight waist. The shallow tight waist, when he tries to reach for a wrist and roll me through, it's impossible. But it's almost as good for controlling people. So we often play between a deep tight waist, controlling our man like so. He tries to get up from here, it's going to be tough. If he does get up, we can always convert to a shallow tight waist, and from here, go into work on our training partner in the usual fashion. Okay, so we play between a shallow and a deep tight waist. When he goes to move around from here, you've got excellent control of your training partner, a great ability to switch to any one of the other various grips that we looked at, and a great ability to knock this guy off his base. So a tight waist grip is another excellent grip for you to play with when you're going for upper body control, chest to back.